So, good day, everyone. So, I am Alvin J. Sebastian of Bachelor of Early Childhood Education 2A. And so, I'm going to discuss the legal basis of inclusive education. So, what is inclusive education? Inclusive education, in the broader sense, is the right of education of children with disabilities in a regular classroom. So if you want to note, if you notice class that the children with disabilities, um, they are comfortable in a classroom that um, comfortable with, and of course the children with disabilities are ready to learn, and of course the modality to address the educational needs of children who suffers from different deficiencies. So, of course, when we say modality class, it is a particular mode in which something exists or is experienced or expressed. So, just like the students or the children who suffers from different deficiencies, they are really need to express, they really need to experience something that different objects, something different aspects in their lives. So according to UNESCO 1983 is to 167 that defines inclusive education. It is as a form of education provided for those students who are not achieving. So, nagpaalala ang UNESCO that the it defines the inclusive education, that the education provided for those students who are not achieving or not likely to achieve through ordinary educational provisions or the levels of educational, social, and other attainments appropriate to their age, and which has the aim for furthering their progress towards this level. So when we say UNESCO, it is the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. So that is UNESCO class. So of course, it is all children should learn together wherever possible, regardless of any difficulties or differences they may have. So if the children needs to learn, they are really they are really prove themselves, and or they might something to be in a free higher or free education, or that something that they encounter difficulties, they really want to enroll in a free education. So that is an inclusive education. So inclusive school must recognize and respond to the diverse needs of their students, accommodating both different styles and rates of learning and ensuring quality education by Salamanca Statement 1994 to 14. So inclusive school. So we just like um in public schools, not just a public but in a private, there are schools that they really have or they really obtain the inclusivity for the students. They really that the students accommodate, and of course they really want to learn from different styles, or the ensuring quality education for them to be able to uplift their self, to uplift their education for them to have a work someday. So next is the legal basis of inclusive education in the Philippines. So, the principle of inclusion as the basis for development initiatives, including education, has been highlighted in international legal and standard setting instruments and Philippine laws. So, first, or letter A, international legal and standard setting instruments. Or the 1989 Convention on the Rights of the Child upholds the rights of children and changed the way children are viewed and created from passive objects of care and charity to human beings with a distinct set of rights. So remember for that, that the 1989 Convention on the Rights of the Child upholds that the rights of children and change the way children are viewed and treated as well. So that is the first. And now, in letter B, the 1994 Salamanca Statement provides that all children should learn together wherever possible, regardless of any difficulties or differences they may have. Letter C, the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, or UNCRPD, it aims to promote, protect, and ensure the full and equal enjoyment of all human rights and fundamental freedoms by all persons with disabilities, and to promote respect of their inherent dignity. Yes, that's the most important, that the respect is always been there no matter what happened, and the freedom of each this person with disabilities, not just the person with disabilities, of also the normal person, the normal people who are living in this world, who are living in this society, that we need to have to aim to promote also the diversity of each one of us, that the respect is very important as of this moment, or as of this moderation. So in article 24 of the UNCRPD states that the quote, the right of person with disabilities to education must be recognized with a view to realizing this right without discrimination and on the basis of equal opportunity. So equal opportunity. For example, whether you have a disabilities, and there are some agencies, there are some um, yeah, companies that they offered job, they offered job, then then the person with disabilities, it apply, and of course something that a person with disabilities is not wala siya hindi siya napasok, hindi siya nakuha, he or she not qualified, but there is the right to education must be recognized and releasing the with a we should not discriminate someone or the person with disabilities to or what he or she applying, not just to discriminate, or what the opportunity has given, not just to discriminate class. So in letter D, the 2007 United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples stipulates that indigenous peoples, or IPs, have the right to establish and control their educational systems and institutions, and that indigenous individuals, particularly children, have the right to all levels and forms of education without discrimination. So whether the IPs, or whether the indigenous people, indigenous individual, we should not discriminate them, because they are human. They are human who are living in this world. Not just to not just to discriminate that, oh, parang hindi sila kabilang dito. Parang hindi natin sila ka-level. Not just that. We have an inclusive education, and we have an inclusivity, the diverse which we adhere their personalities. We don't know the capabilities of them. We don't know the abilities, that the right of a person is very we all know that the person with disabilities has very authentic. We all know of that, because there are some disabilities students na I really admire them, because they are really what we call this one, they are really um yung ano, They are really yung energetic. Some of them are energetic, authentic, and talented. And of course, thank you for that. And let's go to the letter E. The Education 2030 Framework for Action aims at mobilizing all countries and partners around the Sustainable Development Goal or SDG on inclusive and equitable quality education and lifelong learning opportunities for all. Ah, thank you for that. So, yeah, in Philippines, and there are some countries that they really want to help each other for the sustainable development and for the inclusive, and they equip for the quality education. So may mga natatandaan ako or may mga naririnig sa news sa ABS-CBN, whether in another platforms of news, but there are countries that they really want to help Philippines just to have a quality education of the students, just like us, the colleges or the university of the Davao Oriental State University. They are a free higher education for all. So for that, we are very thankful. We have to thank them that they offered very quality a free higher education. So letter B. We are done with letter A, and of course, let's go to letter B. The Philippine legal mandates for inclusive education. So we have mandates. So in 1987, the Philippine Constitution or Article 14, Section 1 and 2 explicitly upholds the protection and promotion of the right of all citizens to quality education at all levels, which requires the Philippine government, among others, to. Yes, they offer the quality education for everybody, according to Article 14, Section 1 and 2. Yes, the promotion of the right of all citizens, just like in Davao Oriental State University. All citizens of Davao Oriental State University are enrolling a free higher education, the education for all, the quality education for all. And we are very thankful for Davao Oriental State University because they are really here the quality education, the free higher education for all. I'm very grateful for that. Next, establish, maintain, and support a complete, adequate, and integrated system of education relevant to the needs of the people and society. And section 2 and 1. So, and when we say adequate, parang ito ay pinagtagpo-tagpo, or it is the satisfactory or acceptable in quality or quantity. Just like the quality education, it adequate that the Davao Oriental State University has offered some courses that are free, just like that. And it mandates for inclusive education. So, encourage non-formal, informal, and indigenous learning system, as well as self-learning, independent, and out-of-school study programs, particularly those that respond to community needs, according to Section 2 and 4. Yes, we are very looking forward for that, and I am very rooting for that. The self-learning or the independent person or the out-of-school study programs are the response to community needs. And they are really um, so according to Republic Act Number 10533, otherwise known as the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013, and its implementing rules and regulations, or IRR, that define the inclusiveness of enhanced basic education through the implementation of programs designed to address the physical, intellectual, psychosocial, and cultural needs of learners, which shall include but shall not be limited to programs for learners with disabilities, programs for learners under difficult circumstances, madrasa program indigenous, or the People's Education Program and programs for the gifted and talented, or Section 8. So, in Republic Act number 9710, otherwise known as the Magna Carta of Women, and its implementing rules and regulations, or IRR, compels the state to provide equal access and to eliminate discrimination in education, scholarship, and training in Section 13. So Republic Act 10157, or the Kindergarten Education Act, released in 2012, declares the policy of the state to provide equal opportunities for all children to avail of accessible, mandatory, and compulsory kindergarten education that effectively promotes physical, social, intellectual, emotional, and skills stimulations and values formation to sufficiently prepare them for formal elementary schooling. And of course, in Republic Act 9155, otherwise known as the Governance of Basic Education Act of 2001, enforces the establishment of the Alternative Learning System, or ALS, to provide out-of-school youth and adults with basic education. Next one is Republic Act number 8371, otherwise known as the Indigenous People Rights Act of 1997, mandates the state to provide equal access to various cultural opportunities to ICCS, or Indigenous Cultural Communities, or IPs, through the education system without prejudice to their right to establish and control their educational systems and institution by providing education in their own language and in a manner appropriate to their cultural methods of teaching and learning in Article 2, Section 2. Next, Republic Act number 9344, or the Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act of 2006. 2006 requires educational institutions to work together with families, community, organizations, and agencies in the prevention of juvenile delinquency and in the rehabilitation and in reintegration of child in conflict with the law. Next, Republic Act number 9442, or approved in 2007, or an act amending Republic Act number 7277 of 1992, otherwise known as the Magna Carta for Disabled Persons, mandates the provisions of educational assistance to persons with disabilities for them to pursue primary, secondary, tertiary, post-tertiary education, as well as vocational or technical education in both public and private schools. Next, we have Republic Act 10665 of 2015, also known as the Open High School System Act, declares the policy of the state to broaden access to relevant quality education through the employment of an alternative secondary education program to overcome personal, geographical, socio-economic, and physical constraints. Next, Republic Act number 10361 approved in 2013, otherwise known as the Domestic Workers Act or Batas Kasambahay, guarantees that the kasambahay is afforded the opportunity to finish basic education, which shall consist of elementary and secondary education, and mandates the DepEd to ensure their continued access to all, or Rule 4, Section 16. Next, Republic Act number 7610 of 1992, also known as Special Protection Against Abuse, Exploitation, and Discrimination Act, declares that it is a state policy to provide special protection to children from all forms of abuse, neglect, cruelty, exploitation, and discrimination, and other conditions prejudicial to their development, provide sanctions for their commission, and carry out a program for prevention and deterrence of and crisis interventions in situation of child abuse, exploitation, and discrimination. So I think that would be all. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.